S- Thank you so much. So thank you so much, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all. Great to see you all. I see many of you joined from across Kenya and from across Africa. My name is Linda Onyango. I run the SME Support Center. SME Support Center is a business I founded 8 years ago. So my case is very different. I did not lose a job. I actually quit employment. I had a very good career in professional services. I was rising up the corporate ladder, and I felt there was more. For me, I felt there was more. So I actually left a very lucrative job, working with one of the top consulting firms in the world. And I said, I really wanted to bring the same level of consulting, quality consulting, to SMEs. And I had really seen the opportunities to really support SMEs and how they can actually, the power of consulting to really support SMEs. And that is how I truly ended up in this in this space. So I've been in this journey for 8 years as an entrepreneur. I know people say consulting is the easier one to go for. I had Jen say she was doing consulting. A lot of you were saying, maybe I'm thinking maybe that's the first thing I could do. And but it's always very important for us, for me particularly, it was important to actually create a structure and create a company where then we would be able to really build a firm that would compete with some of the consulting firms I used to work with. And by God's grace, 8 years later, right now, we are able to compete, and we've grown this business not just as a Kenyan business, but as an African business. So really, truly a pleasure. What I want to do now is to really tie up everything that has been said. Some of you are really asking yourselves, where do I start? Truly, where do I start? Some of you are wondering, how am I going to go from here? Yeah, so the first thing, so what I'm going to do is give you an entrepreneurship framework, and I think the team can project it for you so you can look at it. Please go ahead. Is it showing, Moses? Is it showing? I can't really tell on my end. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So what I want to give you is certain things. Number one, as Moses alluded to and as Paul alluded to, make sure entrepreneurship is what you want. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Truly, even with experience, it is truly difficult. Truly, I keep telling people what I am 8 years. For the 8 years, we have built the SME Support Center from scratch, literally. What I have gained in terms of human resource for the last 8 years, I cannot even quantify it in money or an MBA or anything like that. So entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Number one, make sure it is truly what you want. Don't go for it because you've lost. You said, I saw 35% of you said that. Go for it because number one, you've identified a gap. You have identified something, or maybe you're passionate about something. In my case, I was very passionate about consulting. I had met SMEs used to look for me when I was in the consulting firm. When I was hired, they used to look for me to support them on the side. Then I was like, there's really an opportunity here. This is 8 years ago. So truly, make sure entrepreneurship is something you want. There are very many low moments, very tough moments, very moments where you're wondering, this business, where is it exactly going? So it has to be something you want. That's the first thing in terms of the entrepreneurship framework. Number two is definitely to decide the business you want. I saw Paul gave you some. Paul typically runs various opportunities or export market opportunities that you can pursue. But I would say, personally, a lot of what you know what you want. Most of the time, it's based on your passion. In my case, I've always been very strong or really passionate about consulting. That's really what I like to do. So decide the kind of business you really want. At that point, you really then do a lot of research. You're very lucky. You've been in USAID. Some of you have reviewed so many grant proposals. Like, you're so lucky. You have reviewed so many. I'm sure, like Moses, you have seen so many grant proposals. And you visited so many farms. Some of you, your work was to visit so many SMEs, look at them, so you sort of not starting from zero in your case. So the issue is to perhaps say, what are the top 5 things that are really interesting to me. What are the top 5? I know Jane settled on academia. I see she talked about others as well. She was looking at other sectors, but just basically list 5. List 5 and research all the 5. Yes, so go on then and research all the 5 that you have narrowed down to. And then once you research the 5, then based on the nuances, speak to people, guys, speak to people. I keep saying this is the most important part. It's amazing how many people overlook the starting part. I remember before I started the center when I was employed, it took me a whole year to study consulting because I knew I wanted to do it differently. It took me a whole year to study, to study consulting. What are all these firms doing? Who are the firms I admire? So I also went around meeting all the various firms I admired. And this is where strong entrepreneurs make it. The research part you cannot escape. And I keep saying the research part, don't delegate the research part if you're trying to narrow down on an idea. I know I'm a consultant, but don't leave it to a consultant. This is the one part where you should visit people, visit SMEs, speak to stakeholders, research your idea in detail. Go for workshops. You're lucky this workshop is there. Go for the DHL workshops. Go right now. I think the entrepreneurship landscape has so many support opportunities, so many. I mean, they're countless. So go for them to meet stakeholders, research your ideas, meet people. And then once you narrow down from the 5, you can now narrow down to 1. And that 1 is where you flesh your business plan. Business plans are not supposed to be 100-page documents and so forth. When you're starting out, if it's more than 10 pages, it's too much. Just make it very simple and really just the nuances of how you will start to market and so forth. And then once you jot down the people you've seen, just the notes from basically putting the plan or the notes from the people you've been visiting as you are researching, then you decide how you will start. Starting varies with various people. Some people start big, or it also varies with the sector or the type of business that you're in. Excuse me. If you're in manufacturing, obviously, you need space and you need to start manufacturing. If you're in consulting like me, I pretty much started SSC at home, which was quite interesting. And I now look back home versus now, and we've really grown. So I pretty much started at home. So choose your starting structure. How are you going to start? If it's consulting, you probably don't need to hire people right now. You can get an intern to support you. If it's manufacturing, there must be a minimum viable where you can start with some little minimum investment. The important part is to start and put your products out there. If you're in manufacturing these days, you don't even have to put up a fully fledged factory. Not yet. Before people start testing your products, you don't have to immediately. What you need to do nowadays, there are even so many common producing manufacturing facilities. Kiridi is there. I've met so many SMEs and entrepreneurs and manufacturers who actually really started at Kiridi, and now their brands are out there. Unilever, for example, who is my client. Unilever started at Kenya Industrial Estate. Guys, I can hear an echo. Okay, so Unilever actually started at Kenya Industrial Estate. Okay, so basically choose your starting structure. If you don't have enough money, money should not be preventing you to start. What is most important, guys, you have to test this product in the market. People assume starting a business that, oh, now I have a plan, let me just start this business. That's what people normally assume. Now, what you realize is that the market is so different, guys. The shocks you get from the customers, the feedback you get from the market. What is important is to start. Start where you are, start small, start with what you have, because then, believe you me, everything will be refined and tested in the market. So I always say, start small, start small. For me, I advise people, start small. Start with a minimum viable scale that you're able to do, depending on your sector or depending on your business. And once you start, implement the strategies that you have collected from your research idea, implement all these strategies and get the feedback. I tell you, business is about getting feedback. The number one, I keep telling entrepreneurs, the number one role of a business owner is to sell. And that is why you shouldn't bog your head with starting. Once you narrow down on the ideas, the harder part is to narrow down on okay, what's the business I want, the top 5, and then you get the one that you actually want to start. And then the starting. Actually, starting is the easier part. Once you start, so don't bog yourself on the starting. Once you start with a minimum viable scale and you start implementing strategies, that is when you realize now I'm actually in business. You go for pitches, you start to sell, and you get rejections. You get so many rejections. If you're used to it, you're very immune. Yeah. So you have to iterate continuously based on feedback. This is feedback from customers. This is feedback from stakeholders. This is feedback from partners. This is feedback from donors, whatever your stakeholder mapping looks like. You have to iterate continuously. And actually, another thing, you have to iterate continuously based on the market or the macroeconomic environment. So, for example, external factors like COVID, 2020, COVID was an external factor. You have to iterate. You kind of, which is why I say starting is the easier part. Business teaches you so much in terms of iteration, continuously iterating. Iterating basically means revising. So I remember for us, this is something I do continuously. Every quarter, I'm looking at our business and I'm like, how can we grow? How can we scale? How can we position ourselves differently? I'm very big on doing things differently. So I'm not the ones to just start a business, okay, and it's just another farm or it's just another similar farm. I also want to position our firm differently, how our socials look, how we position ourselves in the market, that we are a one-stop shop for consulting services or support services for SMEs, some Huduma center of sort. So I keep every three months, sometimes every year, I go on a retreat. I iterate. And I remember last year, the signs were there for me. The signs were there that Kenya would be hard, or 2 years ago, Kenya would be hard. Right now, there are very many consulting firms. I don't think there's any business you'll go into and you'll be alone. So the competition is also very high. Many people have lost jobs. Many people have been laid off, and their first stop is consulting. So for us, there are so many people, the competitive landscape is extremely competitive. And I remember last year, I asked myself, Kenya is too small. 2 years ago, Kenya is too small. And it really saved us that by God's grace, last year, the large part of our business came from Southern Africa and other countries, working with governments and so forth to support there. So iterate continuously based on feedback, market environment, everything. And then once you find your basic structure, once you find your basic model, what actually works for you as a firm, once you find it, is when now you can grow and scale. And you know it when you start becoming profitable. So by the time we were going into other countries, we were already making some profit at the center. And then now you can accelerate it. You can either grow by product, you can grow by regions, and so forth. But most importantly, the structure of your business must remain in a way that you can control, whether it is costs, whether it's your growth, you must be able to control. Sometimes you can grow beyond your capacity. So it must be something you're able to control. So this is a framework I just wanted to give you. I hope it has been useful. And if you ever want any services from the center, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about supporting SMEs to grow and scale. I'm very big about growth and scale, and I like to teach from my own experiences, having built this business from scratch. And there's no shortcut. Truly, there's no shortcut. I saw some of you wanting to look for another job. There's nothing wrong with looking for another job, because entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Yeah, it is truly not for the faint of heart. So there are very many support services, not just from us, from many players. many consulting firms around. So plug in. If you're in Eldoret, I saw there's Eldo Hub. There's many people, Eldoret, there is Kisumu. If you find one close to you, that's okay. But typically for us, we have aggregated very many services. We have informational services. We share tender opportunities every Wednesday, funding opportunities every Friday. We share funding news, which is the deal activity across Africa, so that SMEs can know who are the equity funders, who are the what funders. We share trade events across Africa. And if you're just you've researched your idea, but you just want to test the market, we help you do what is called a pilot testing. We do business model reviews, we do business planning, partnership support, and financial management. Everything you see there, we do transaction advisory, we do deal briefs. Deal briefs are basically briefs for investors that we can send to you. We have life insurance with Old Mutual. This is what you call their key man cover. We have outdoor advertising. We work closely with DHL and many other players on logistics. Anything you can think aggregated, think about it as an Huduma Center for SMEs. That was the vision. If you look at my business plan now, and then I had that 1 year I was researching when I was still employed. It was like a Huduma Center. I'd even drawn how it would look. But COVID was such a blessing because we were able to do the same thing, but online. So now all you need to do, all the services have been structured in 3 ways. We have bonus services. Bonus services are basically the informational services, the tenders, the funding news, and so forth. Then we have basic services, which require minimal support from us. So if you want us to introduce you to 3 partners or so forth, we charge you $200. So basic services is something we do for up to $250. And then we have premium services. So if you want to access the services at the center, the second slide, if you want to access the services at the center, you can show them the QR code. Yeah, so basically you go to our website. I don't know what's showing or if it's showing at all. So please go to our website and click the button that says register. Is it showing, Moses? Okay. Yeah, so just go to our website. There you go, the previous slide. So just go to our website, click that button that says register. Yeah, there. Click the button that says register. So this is our website. It's called SME Support Center. If you type on Google, it's very optimized. If you just click SME Support Center, you click the register button. You can also view the resources. Resources has all those information. You should never lack information. In this information age, you cannot lack information. Tender opportunities, funding opportunities, who are the equity funders out there? All that is in under that resources tab. What are the trade events out there? So click that resources tab, click the register button, and then once you do that, you fill in the registration form. And typically what happens, our team gets back to you within 24 to 48 hours max. You'll have ticked the services you want. Our team will send you the brochure, all the costs, and then you just reply back with what you want. If you're not ready yet, it's okay.
Thank you.
I'll stop there.
Thank you.